it's Pam with Organizer AZ911 here with another episode of my FAB or FLOP series where I search the internet looking for any hack to put to the test to see if it is truly a fabulous idea or a flop of an idea. And the one I found this week is actually something that you could create and make for a gift for someone. And it simply involves using blocks of wood that you can get at any craft store. These are 2x2 blocks. Okay, and I got 9 of them. And you need some Mod Podge. And then a paintbrush to, of course, spread this on with. And you will also need an X-Acto knife. And then later in this, we will be using some sandpaper. Now this particular hack, I will put the link below. It basically showed just putting a picture like this, spreading the Mod Podge on there, and sticking this to these blocks, letting it dry, and then taking the X-Acto knife and cutting out each block. And then it becomes like a puzzle, a wood puzzle piece. Now the video showed just putting one photo on one side of these blocks. Okay, and then they painted the other sides a fun color. But I decided to change it up a notch in giving this gift. I'm actually going to cover every side with a different picture so that they get 6 different photo puzzles for just one big block here, okay? And I'll show you how it all comes out at the end, if it goes like my head tells me it will. Basically, we found a bunch of photos, and you simply cut out the photo to the size of the blocks. Okay, so it comes out like that, and basically what I would do is dip my paintbrush in the Mod Podge and cover this whole thing, and then stick this on. Now I already started the other side of this, and also before you start, to keep the blocks in place, I don't know if you can see, we've actually put rubber bands to make sure they don't move around so they stay real secure. And I did the other side of this so far with the first photo. Okay, and like you can see where the lines come, that's where I'll be taking the X-Acto knife. After we get a couple sides already done, then I'll take the X-Acto knife and I will start cutting these along those lines. So each block becomes a different part of the picture. After all of this dries, you put another coating on the top to seal it, and then you sand the corners once you've done the cutting out of the blocks. But we'll show you that later in the video once we get all the photos on. So there's a couple of things I want to mention about this particular craft hack. And that is, I did a couple of things wrong or different from the original video, and I encourage you to go to the original video. The link will be found below and check it out. The way they did it does work. And I'm going to give this craft hack a big thumbs up as a fabulous idea, okay? What I did to it to kind of alter it didn't work as well the first time. So I want to explain something. As you can see in the front, this one side looks pretty close to what they were showing in the demo video. For the one side, it turns out really well. So when I try to put photos on every single side of the block, we came up with a couple of problems. In doing just one side and having the rest of them painted, it will come out just like it does in the video. What I did was when I tried to switch it up and put photos on every side, I encountered some problems. And I later found out that maybe those problems were caused by I didn't follow the video exactly. In the original video, they put Mod Podge on the back of the photo or the paper. And I was putting the Mod Podge on the blocks. And what I found out later, and when it was too late for me, is that the glue seeped down in between the blocks. And so that won't happen to you if you put the Mod Podge on the back of the paper like they show in the video. So that was my bad. What happened was when we cut it apart like the video showed, the blocks weren't coming apart, and that was because of that glue slipping in between. And when we went to kind of break it off, it ended up ripping some of the photos on the other sides. And that's why I said the one side it won't happen with. If you do multiple sides like I wanted to do, you're going to have problems, especially if you put the glue on the blocks instead of the paper. So as you can see, the first side, it was fine, okay? And I haven't totally sanded the corners like they've shown in the video because, like I said, it kind of didn't come out, so I didn't want to go to all the extra trouble. But let me see if I can put it around. Here's where, if you flip it around, and the other side, I had another photo, but you can see where some of the paper had ripped. Can you see that? Is it catching on that? And when we went to break it apart, again, that's because the glue slipped in between. And then I found around the edges, there was a lot of extra glue gunk. Here's another side. You can see where it not only ripped the picture, but then there was like this extra glue glump. Technical terms. So it kind of ruined the other sides. But again, if you're just doing one side and you glue like they showed on the paper and not the blocks, that probably won't happen. And like I said, this is a truly great craft to try out. The other thing I want to mention is that we found out is when I went to the craft store and I got these little cubes, not all of them were exactly the same. Go figure, right? But what we found was some were elevated higher than the others. And that also contributed to the picture ripping instead of affixing tightly and securely to the block, because the next block over was too high, and so it never got a full stick on the other one. And that can cause a problem. So when I go back to the store, I'm going to literally lay the blocks out on the floor and make sure they are as even as possible to create the effect I want out of this. All right, so if you want to see how my multi-sided craft will turn out, be sure to check back next week because I'm going to be redoing this, doing it the correct way, and we'll see how that turns out. Like I said, this craft hack is a big FAB idea. It's relatively inexpensive. You can print the pictures up on regular printer paper, and then when you seal it with the Mod Podge, it would make a really nice gift. I did show this to my parents on Christmas and I said, you know, sorry, it just didn't come out. And they were blown away at the creative idea. And they really liked the idea that we tried to put multiple pictures on it because they said they're going to put it on their bar in their home, and then when guests come, they can have fun. You know, it's a conversation piece. You take it apart and you have all these different photos. So be sure to check out the link below to the video, the original video on this hack, and then also be sure to check back next week to see how it turns out when I do it the right way, okay? I hope you enjoyed this Fab or Flop episode. If you did, please give it a big old thumbs up, poke that like button below, and if you're new to my channel, poke that subscribe button as well and ring the bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. I'm Pam with Organizer AZ 911. I'll see you next week.